Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Distilio. I am one of the directors at Central Office. I am one of my roles is the director of community outreach, and I work with Mr. Lindstedt to film the podcast. So, congratulations! You are the inaugural members of season 2.
Thank you.
And so this one is talking about leadership, and this is the second season, as I mentioned, about the leadership podcast. And the whole purpose is that this is what I believe in a time where everybody's kind of concerned about leadership, whether it's in the federal level, the state level, or the local level. I find that the best way to find leaders is to go back to the kids because they're the future. So the way it works is that we chose Miss Jahn, and Miss Jahn then chose 4 leaders in the Interact Club. So we're going to talk about just the evolution of leadership today, and so I'm gonna talk about Miss Jahn. So I'm gonna put her on the spot a little bit. Okay, so Miss Jahn, I've known, I think, about 4 years maybe since my son was in Interact. Yes, I believe. So one of the things that I believe is that we're on this planet not for ourselves, but to serve other people, okay? And when my son was becoming a freshman, I realized that Interact was that club that kind of centered around our family values. And working, when he met Miss Jahn and Mr. Mack, I knew Miss Jahn. I knew you were a very positive person, and as an English person, I remember you tweeted something about Macbeth, and I'm a very big Denzel Washington fan, and so I just kind of I've watched your leadership from afar. I watched you give of yourself completely, whether it's in the community, just walking around or whatever, but the things you do for the school, particularly students with special needs, is something that I admire, and it's not an accident that between you and Mr. Mack, the Interact Club is probably one of the most successful clubs in the building, and because you probably choose very good leaders, which you have today. So if you could just kind of talk about, how you view your leadership style, just in a synopsis, and then talk about why you chose all 4 individuals.
Sure. So especially for Interact, Mr. Mack and I choose leaders who service is their number one goal. So we get to know the kids through their involvement at our events as freshmen, and then when they come to us and are interested in the exec board, it's the students who love to give of themselves and who aren't looking for the recognition, which I believe that plays into my leadership style, because we always tell the students we're not the glamorous club, we're not the club that's going to get all the accolades and everything, and if they're looking for that, that's not Interact. We do a lot of behind the scenes for the community, and I think that my leadership style is more about giving back and showing my values and having that drive our club and our students, because it's not about looking for that outside affirmations. It's really about when you know that you've made a difference and you go home and you know that, and we look for students who are really, they embody that, and these kids give of themselves, because I think in this generation, the stigma is that these kids don't really do that they're more, self-absorbed and on their devices all the time and everything. So we're really proud to have students who they do more than anybody knows that they do. So I think that my leadership style is about that service and about leading with your values and just letting that naturally happen. And if people look to you as a role model, then that's an honor, but not looking for that outside, all of those awards and honors and things like that. It's really not. We always tell the kids it's service over self. It's not about that.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did you want to say anything particularly about any of the individuals before they introduce themselves?
I would love to.
Okay.
I love these kids. So Andrea and Max are our presidents.
Uh-huh.
And I have had the honor of having both of them since they were freshmen. Actually, all 4 of you guys involved in Interact since they were freshmen. And then Andrea started as, she got involved. And then what I admire about Andrea is that she ran for an office last year as a junior and didn't get the office at the end of the year on exec board, but that didn't change her attitude towards anything. She kept, just kept working, right? And kept being a leader naturally. in the club, and then she ran again, and then she got voted president. So that to me like shows, her leadership style, because she just kept, like, some people would let that affect them and not be as involved, and she just didn't. She did the opposite, and she was just like, okay, I didn't get voted in, that's not gonna change anything, and she kept working. And she's been very successful this year. And then Max is our first 2-time president, which that is an honor that only goes to, that's like Max's tagline now. He's been a 2-time president, so he was our first junior to get voted in as president. And students were like, "Is that allowed?" And we're like, "Yes, it is. If that's who the students see as a president." And Max is super involved in everything in the school, and he handles everything with grace and just gives of himself. And they have 2 very different leadership styles. They're very different, but I think that they balance each other well, and I think that the students look to them for different aspects of leadership in our club, because they balance each other well, which is that's the kids vote the presidents in, but it's a bonus for Mr. Mack and I when they can balance each other out, because we do try to let them lead with us in the back more, like at our events and everything. Like, we'd like them to take the head of things. And then we have our vice presidents, Luna and Ryleigh, who are fantastic, and they are juniors, and they have a lot of ideas and a lot of exciting things and a perspective. And I get contacted all the time with new ideas, which we love that, because we are always trying to implement new ideas and how to make things more effective. And the students are really comfortable with both of them, all of it, because we have a huge exec board. We have 30 kids on our exec board. So they're kind of like point people for all of our exec board to go to, and then they come to us, which is a really nice dynamic. And everybody always tells me how kind both of them are, and I would expect them to probably step into an even bigger leadership role next year, hopefully. But they are learning from Max and Andrea, and they all work together really well, and they're just wonderful.
Good people.
Yes, they are. Yeah. That's what I say. It's most important to me that they're good people in the world, and they are, and we're really proud of them. And I'm honored to know them.
Oh, we're honored to know you.
I'm honored to know you. Look at that. All right, so we're going to kind of talk about the dynamic of leadership and what Miss Jahn was talking to you guys about. It's there's a Spider-Man quote from the very first Spider-Man: "With great power comes great responsibility." Right. So, as the power of the leadership in the leadership board of Interact, right? So there's a leadership board, and there's a executive board, then there's you guys, which is, you have a great responsibility to carry on the torch of the people that came before you, and then to set it in a good spot for people that come after you. So, so we're going to talk about a couple topics today. We're going to talk about embracing fear, dreaming big, taking charge, bouncing back, and then finally creating a leadership legacy. Okay, and we have some pre-planned questions, but let's kind of see where we go. All right, so I told you off camera that I wasn't really going to pick on somebody, but I'm going to pick somebody to start us off. I'm going to pick Max, because he's the 2-time president here, right? So, Max, just kind of off camera, we talked about some of the things you're trying to take a step across the threshold to right now. So all of these things, as a junior, trying to be the president, your application process that you're doing now. There's a lot of fear, maybe even being on this podcast, there's a lot of fear that it's associated with this. So I guess my question is, you as a leader, how do you distinguish between being afraid and not, jumping across that threshold and like you got to pause, versus I'm just really nervous about this situation, but I can do it? That's kind of what I want to know, because sometimes fear blocks us from being self-actualized, and I'm just kind of interested in if you could kind of speak to that.
Yes, sir. So I think that my first thing is I always take a step back, and I always want to reflect on my options and my problems of what I have to do. And I think it's really important for socially to always be involved. So yeah, you have your responsibilities, but I think it's just as important to take a step back and hang out with your friends. And I think that kind of helps me distinguish between my fears and what I have to do and my responsibilities, because I always have somebody to lean on.
So you have good people in your life? That
Yes,
keep
sir.
you-
I mean, I have my family who's always been there for me, my sister, my best friend, and then just my friends in general who I always have. So
Thank you for that response.
course.
Does anybody else want to chime in? Feel free. No. Okay. We'll go to
We'll get there.
yeah. We'll ask about some things, and this is one of the things that this comment is about dreaming big, right? So I mentioned Denzel Washington, right? So he played Macbeth in the movie. I don't know if you know this, right? But like, if Denzel Washington came into this building, I'd jump on his back and give him a massive hug. I think he is by far the coolest human being in America. And I'm assuming you know who Denzel Washington is. I don't even know if you know.
Not all
Actually
students do
don't know
now.
who Denzel
Okay,
Washington
Denzel
is.
Washington
Yeah,
is
me
the
neither.
best actor. Everything he touches is gold. Like,
Right,
he's
right,
amazing.
yeah.
And he played Macbeth, so I get to play some of his Macbeth in my classroom. Recently he did. But he's amazing.
I'm trying to think of the most. He's the Equalizer. You ever see
Oh,
that movie?
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe.
My parents put it on all the
Our
time.
references are getting old.
I know,
I'm trying
I know,
to
yeah.
in my
Oh,
classroom.
yeah. Oh boy, this is tough. All right. Anyway, so if you can, I mean, he's like my version of Taylor Swift. Okay. So does that make sense? Okay. So I think he's an incredibly faithful person, an incredibly kind person, but he always comes up with this sage wisdom and these unbelievable quotes, and he talks about dreams and he talks about goals and how they're very different. Okay. They work together, but they're very different. So my question is exactly that. What is the difference between a dream and a goal? And talk about it as a leader, like a dream and a goal, and how can a leader do both, right?
I mean, I
You can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I learned a lot about this as I've stepped into this more intense leadership role. For me, I think dreams are more things that, like, I know is not something that I can achieve right now. So when I was a sophomore, I was like, okay, my dream is, or like a freshman, my dream is to be president of a big club one day. And I was like, okay, we're going to do these things to make my dream a reality, but I know it's not going to happen right now. And like now my current dream is like, okay, after high school, I'm going to do this, this, and this. So my dream is to become, like, I want to be a missionary nurse when I grow up.
Okay.
So it's like,
That's nice.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to
Fits
college, get my nursing degree, figure out where I'm going, and then go. So it's like, a dream to me is more something that it's like, okay, this can't happen right now. But I'm going to fill in what I need to do to make that dream a reality. Not now, like, when I'm ready. But, like, a goal, in my mind, is something that is achievable in, like, the near-ish future. So, like, let me think. Like, going on the president of a big club example. My junior year, I was like, okay, like, kind of what Miss Allen said. I didn't get office as a junior. That's fine. But now my goal when I'm a senior year is to be the president. So I'm going to do what I need to do to make that goal happen near future. And, like, I'm an athlete, so I play lacrosse. So my goal for this season is to score 100 points. So, okay, I'm going to weight train and work on my stick skills and do all the things that I need to do in order to be successful to make that happen. So it's like, dreams and goals are similar things, but it's kind of the time frame in which they're gonna become realities is where it differs, because, like I said, goals are now problems. Dreams are, I'm dreaming that this is gonna happen eventually.
Gotcha. Sometimes you can manifest your dreams to become your goals too. Very good. Excellent. Thank you for the response. Anybody else want to chime in?
I will.
Okay.
Like, I definitely agree with what Andrea said. I feel like dreams are more the emotional part of it, like the emotional motivation behind what your goals are, and the goal is the steps to take towards that dream that you have.
Excellent. So let me ask you this as a leadership team, and I don't know if anybody wants to answer. What are the goals for Interact this year? Because one of the things that I know, maybe just pick one. I know there's
I know
probably
we have a lot. We have a lot. That's
So
why they look
one,
at me.
One of the things that I noticed was, just because of my world, I go to the Buddy Walk all the time, and the Buddy Walk didn't happen this year.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm like, what? What do you mean? And it's actually difficult because it's actually like a family holiday for my family. So when you have like a disappointment in that, like something that the Interact has done for years, and all of a sudden it's gone. Like, so what are your goals now to kind of, I know you got Festival of Friends coming up, like mid-year, but like, what are your goals now that thing was taken away?
Luna, do you want to talk about trunk or treat?
Sure.
Okay.
I think like since Buddy Walk isn't happening, it's sad. I mean, I like Buddy Walk a lot, but now we're trying to kind of create different events that, not to replace it necessarily, but just to still get everyone together and still make a difference. Like as she said, we're gonna have a trunk or treat next week, so it's still gonna get everyone together, and it's just for the community and different events. Like at the end of October, I'm gonna have a food drive, so just still things like we're trying to make new kind of events just to still get everyone together and make a difference.
Awesome.
Yeah, our kids were really disappointed by
Yeah,
that, and that was
sure.
that was like a national thing that Interact's been involved with since way before Mr. Mack and I
Right.
took over. So our goal this year, and we did talk about this as a leadership team, is to create more inclusive events, because the special needs community is really close to my heart, and it's something that our students really care about. So our goal is, like you said, not to replace that, but to create more events where we can include everybody. We do that through the Pacesetters dances, which are some of my favorite. Our events that we do for the special needs communities are my personal favorites. Like Monzo's great, and I love
Right.
Monzo, and it's great,
Sure.
and the kids all love Monzo, but my favorites are like Festival of Friends and the Pacesetters dances. And we do the Pacesetters dances at school so that, because the homecoming dance and proms are very overwhelming environments. For me, so let alone for our
Yeah.
students with special needs. So Pacesetters dances are just for those students, and we create like this like awesome environment where like we do like a holiday one, and then we either do a Valentine's Day one or a spring one later on in the year, and we have games and we have food and we have crafts for them to do, and we have dancing, and like it's just become this amazing tradition. And we involve our general members as well. And staff comes and the kids get dressed up and they're very excited about it. So our goal is to make those events larger,
Right.
and include, make sure that everybody feels included, because that was a loss for
Big time.
the community. I know, we were sad about that.
Actually, could I speak on Pacesetters?
For sure.
So, I don't know about them. Was your first event Pacesetters? No? Okay, well,
I don't think so.
personally, my freshman year, my first event was Pacesetters. That's how I discovered Interact. And I feel like, even as, like, we would get onto the exec board, like, Pacesetters is kind of the first, quote-unquote, big event that Interact ourselves run, besides, like, the concession stand. Because we run the concession stand. But Pacesetters is our first, like, big deal event where we have chairs and all this stuff. And I think the name of it really just, like, shows how important it is, because not only does it, quote unquote, set the pace for the special needs community and what they need, and kind of to give them this environment, but it also sets the pace for us, not only as for our general members, but as an exec board, because it shows us, okay, we're doing this event with this population who is different from ourselves. So not only are we working to kind of lead them and make sure they're having a good time, but working with each other for the first time in a big way, more than, like, obviously right now we're in Spirit Parade and concessions, we're learning how to work with each other, but this is like your first like test run. And I think it's just like, it reminds me, like, every single time we have Pacesetters, it takes me back to my freshman year, like meeting Mr. Mack and Miss Jahn, and it's like, I don't know, it's something that's very special to me, not only because we're working with such an important population, but also like, it's like, I don't even know, like the first time I ever really spoke to Ryleigh and Luna, and like first time I ever had a full conversation with Max as a sophomore, like, it's very important. And I think that event in particular kind of just shows what Interact does. Like, it's, for me, the definition of our service over self concept.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so that kind of dovetails into the next idea of kind of taking charge, right? We're all positive influences, right? I'm not going to kind of talk about that, but I think for the leader, one of the things that I find there's, in my world, just as a central office employee and as a former principal, you can lead by two ways, right? Everybody has leadership styles, but you can do transactional leadership where it says, hey, you're going to do this, 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 and this, or you can be transformational, which is, I think Ms. Jahn's transformational, where she kind of sets the tone so that you can take the club to where you want it and then help build that legacy, right? We're going to talk about later. So I think it's more attractive to be that transactional leader, or no, transformational leader, where you empower people to be better than they thought they could be. So you guys have that ability. You probably have that mantra that you wear, because you got sophomores that are coming next. You got freshmen that are interested. You got people that you're not even going to meet that are coming into the club. So I want to ask the vice presidents here, because this is something that, how do you take charge while maintaining the vision of what you're trying to do? So somebody might be a slouch in Interact. I don't know, but you have to motivate that person. You don't want to make them feel bad because they're not carrying their weight. You want to elevate them, right? So how do you do that?
I definitely feel like a private setting is one of the best ways to do that, like taking that person in and telling them these are things that you can do and we would like to see you do them. Motivation is one of the most important things, and telling them you can do this, I believe in you, there's no reason to have fear or to hold back from taking on a bigger role in whatever we're doing in the Interact community.
I think if someone is having a hard time adjusting to events and the crowd, a big thing is asking them what would almost improve their experience, almost giving them an option and what they can do, and see if they'll do it. If they have a different idea for when we sometimes we'll have a bonding experience. If they have a different idea for that'll make them feel more comfortable.
Yeah,
just give them an option, instead of telling them exactly what to do.
Yeah, I had a student in Interact reach out to me yesterday in a similar situation like this. They wanted to chair an event for one that we have coming up, and they were asking, I'm really nervous to chair an event. Is there any way that I can do it with you and be included?
That's
so that
awesome.
way you can lead me and show me what I need to do for when next year if I want to chair the event by myself. And I was like, yeah, well, I can give you options of events that you could chair. I could chair it with you. You could chair it with one of the fellow presidents. Whatever would make you most comfortable while also helping you become a leader.
I think that's an awesome statement, because what you've done is you built capacity for those that come after you. And that is when there's no question in my mind that all four of you at some point are going to be fantastic leaders in your adult life. That's just a fact. I mean, we've been around enough to know, we see it when we see it. We know. I would even go so far as to say we probably were like you when we were kids. But the fact that you're willing to walk side by side with somebody so that they can be successful, and then work your way to the background so that you can elevate them, that's a miraculous thing, and that's going to pay you. That mindset alone is going to pay you dividends as whatever you choose to do in life, whatever it is. That's an amazing leadership acumen for you, so I appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you for saying that. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think kind of going off of what you guys all said, I feel like rather than just dictating what people do, it's solemnly leading by example.
Yes.
So obviously if there's an issue within the board, I think it's our job to bring the energy up, and obviously us presidents, vice presidents, we have to keep our energy up, because honestly I think we have the most influence on our executive board. So if we improve us first and lead with the example, then they'll see that and fix them.
Yeah.
And we don't have a perfect, I love our club, but we run into issues.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you have 30 high school students in a room, then we pride ourselves on having kids from all different groups of friends and different activities. So we, do run into the typical issues. And then we had a discussion this year about how we had 15 or 16 seniors graduate last year off our board. So we have a very new board. We have a lot of, I call them our nuggets, our little nuggets, our youngins coming up. And they're fantastic and they're excited, but they're also looking to them. You know what I mean? And that's what we had a discussion, that their eyes are on them at all times. At spirit parade practices, at even the little things like concessions. Even though we're teaching them how to run events, their eyes are on them for their attitudes.
Absolutely.
And how they're taking charge and how they're dealing with people that they might not agree with. And we have those discussions together a lot about how, even just the smallest interaction with someone, they're all watching you. And then they are going to be our leaders in a year or two. So that's the natural progressions of things, and that's why their roles are so important.
Absolutely. So there is times when we have to bounce back, because leadership isn't really a linear process. It ebbs and flows and stuff like that. One of the things that when I got my job at Central, was how do I take the idea of what I did at a middle school and then make it at a level that, I have a job title that's really my job description. Like, it doesn't even fit on my ID, right? So so I'm like, anything that happens, I get, right? So I have to realize that whatever we do has to have children in mind. That's my business, right? So you are my customer, right? So if people say to you, well, school isn't a business, it's absolutely a business. It's not a corporation, but it's a business, right? So you're my product. So, if I'm selling a can of Coca-Cola, I want that to be the best Coca-Cola possible, right? So my whole job is to support people like Ms. Jahn to help support people like you. That's my whole job. And whether I'm registering a student, whether I'm doing a threat assessment on a particular case, if when you work for me, if you don't have that mindset that under no circumstances do we waver in the pursuit of what's great for kids, you just can't work for me. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But there are times though when people don't meet that muster, like what Ms. Jahn was talking about, and then we have to bounce back. Like maybe in this case of that student who wants to model after you and wants to lead a committee, maybe you messed up and maybe you kind of one time just kind of tarnished their idea of stepping forward, right? So you might have to realize that and have to bounce back. So I think bouncing back comes with the ability to have very hard and very difficult conversations with people, right? So we're all going to mess up, we're all going to fail, we're all going to get reprimanded in some way. It's all going to happen, but it's about, as a leader, how do you give that feedback to somebody so that they walk away and they want to do better for that. So I guess that's the question of bouncing back, not necessarily bouncing back from you guys, but like in times of failure, how do you give and receive feedback, and how do you do that?
One way that I really bounce back as a leader, because I make mistakes, we all make mistakes, like it's gonna happen. I think, and I'm a very apologetic person by nature, it's just because I notice things about people and I notice myself, I love to analyze. And so when I notice, I'm like, okay, I was just at this thing and it's bugging me that this happened. So the first step that I'll usually take is I'll go to the person, I usually text them because we're obviously not
because we don't talk anymore, right? We just...
No. If I can talk to them, I will, but normally I'll text them. And I'll just be like, hey, I don't know if this bothered you, but it bothered me the way that I reacted towards you, and I'm sorry. And I'll take that and be like, okay. Because I know that person has friends. They're going to talk to their friends. They're going to be like, oh, so-and-so did this, or so-and-so did that. And it's like, okay, you can take it one of two ways. You could either, like, not say anything and pray that they don't notice, but what if they do notice? So, like, it's kind of like you have to be the one to take that first step as a leader. And then once that's done, great. Now you have to go forward and lead by example. Like, there have been times where with our executive board members, even with them, like, we've disagreed on things and we'll talk it out. And then from there, it's like, okay, what are we going to do to now make it better? And I think, I'm not speaking for you guys, but I think most of the time when we've had little tiffles, like, we've sorted it out and then moved forward, and it's made things a lot better. And I think that just kind of attests to all of us as leaders and our ability to be like, it's in the athletic world, it's kind of, you call it role. So it's like, I forget the acronym, but you kind of sort it out and forget about it. And it's like, okay, this happened, keep going. Because you have to have a short mindset, not only as an athlete or a person, but as a leader. It's even more important because bouncing back, people are watching, like Ms. Jahn said, like, even in the hallways when we smile or say hi to our younger students in the board, it's like they're watching you and they're watching every move you make. So it's part of that transformative, transactional. You have to, before you can tell them do this, do that, you have to lead by example. And it's like that comes first with how do you take challenges as a leader? Because these kids, they've probably never been in leadership roles as intense as this before.
Right, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to show you what I do to do this. And then you can take it or you cannot. And then through that and the way that I act, that's why I'm telling you, okay, I want you to do this because I care for you. It's like one of those type of things.
Awesome. Thank you.
I feel like a big part when there's like issues, like a big like part to make it work out well is to just take a step back and like remember the overall goal of this club and not act purely based on emotion. And like if there's an issue between the other members or if there's an issue between us if we can't agree on something, is to just really realize why we're here, which is to make a difference, and just be mature about it and speak maturely. And
Yeah, I want to focus on what you said and what Andrea said. That is the total crux of what leadership is: the ability to apologize for not necessarily your intent, but your impact. You recognizing your impact and how to adjust from that, and then also go back to the mission in the fact that everything you do needs to go back to what your purpose is, right? So if you're leading with purpose, then you're always going to go back to it. Those are great statements by the two of you. Thank you both for sharing. It was outstanding. So the last question before we wrap up is, creating a leadership legacy, right? You guys are upperclassmen. In 2 years, you guys are going to be gone and go on to more robust things. You guys are, you're closer to being adults than you are the freshmen, right? So, so what we know, because we're older, is the fact that at some point there's going to be somebody that takes over Interact somewhere along the line. There's going to be somebody at central office that does what I do, and everybody is 100% replaceable, but the ideas and the legacy that they have is not, right? So we have lots of leaders here that probably showed Ms. Jahn kind of how to be a good leader. I would imagine they might not be here anymore. They might have retired, but we're all replaceable, but our legacy lives on if we do it the right way. And I'm wondering, I'm going to ask everybody this question because it's a very important thing. And it's going to be this simple, and I'll say it and I'll pause to let you all reflect on it. When your time here at Washington Township High School is done, what do you want your legacy to be? So that's going to be the question, okay? So when your time here is done, what do you want your legacy to be? I will start, so you guys can kind of think, and I'll fill the space. Then I'll go to Ms. Jahn, and we'll start with Andrea and go around to Ryleigh, okay? When I leave here, I would like my legacy to be one that under no circumstances do we think about our own self, but it's always about the kids. And policies are important to follow, right? I mean, I have to work with policies in my new job, but if a policy gets in the way of a child, it's probably not a good policy, right? So my legacy would be like, we roll up our sleeves, we help each other out no matter what. And that would be the idea that I would want central office and leadership in Washington Township to be. So whether people remember Mike Distilio or not, I just want them to remember how to make a child feel. Okay? So that's what my legacy would be. So Ms. Jahn, what would you like your legacy to be?
Such a big question. So my legacy that I would like, I have a long time before I'm done with Interact or done here, but I would like people to remember that I made a difference and that I cared about my students and that I cared about the community here, and that my whole classroom is all kindness quotes, and kindness is my jam. And I do believe that if we just continue doing, I know that the world can be a dark place, but I always tell the kids, we're the light, we have to be the light in the world. And I also teach seniors, so I get to play a small role in preparing them for the real world, which I think is an honor. And I always tell them, you go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good. And I really feel like that's so important. And I hope that people remember one day that we made a difference and that we cared about every student, and tried to reach every student, no matter their challenges. And I hope that that's what I'm remembered for.
I'm sure you will be.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope so.
Andrea, go ahead.
Okay, this is a big question. I think just the legacy I want to leave behind as I go to graduate is as a leader, but more importantly as a person, like, because those kind of go hand in hand, to not only be kind, like to always just be kind, no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's someone that you've never met, your best friend, someone you don't like, someone who's talked bad about you, all of it, like, it doesn't matter. Just show kindness forth to them, but also to be faithful to what you're going after, no matter what it is, and bold, and like show your passion to others as to what you believe in and what you care about, because you never know like what someone needs to hear one day. So it's just like, okay, you might be the shyest person in the world. I'm very extroverted, so this comes a little more naturally for me, but I think the legacy I want to leave behind is just like to continually be bold and kind of push back through the fear and just be who you are in every circumstance. So I think, like, I was thinking as I was reflecting, I was like, okay, be kind, be bold, be faithful. Those are the really big things that I want to leave.
It's awesome. Sounds like a
them.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
It does.
Great.
I like that.
Go ahead, Max.
For me, obviously kindness. My mom always influenced me to be kind, and I think that's gone a really long way. And I think my main goal is just to keep a smile on your face. You never know what people are going through, and always having a smile, even if it's faking it, it's always going to leave a positive effect. You can never go wrong with giving somebody a smile. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
I think the legacy that I want to leave here, like when I go to college, is to go into everything with a positive outlook and a confident demeanor, and just really have confidence in myself for everything you go into, whether it's a new club, taking a test you didn't study for, taking on a new leadership role, is just to go into it confident and learn from your mistakes instead of getting embarrassed or like taking a step back. You should learn to improve from the mistakes and the embarrassment and everything to just make you like yourself a better overall leader, person, and student.
Great comment. Thank you.
Interact is like all about our community and everyone else. So as a leader, we all do a lot of that, helping out with the community, but I want to be able to help people remember who they are instead of like the community themselves. I want them to remember that they did this, they helped make this impact, they're an important person, and also mental health plays a role in that because I know a lot of people have mental health issues. So I want them to remember that like what they're doing is making a difference on not only the community but themselves too. It should make them feel good.
Outstanding. Well, that concludes our questions. You all did a fantastic job. Thank you for sharing everything. I
Thank
very
you.
much appreciate
Thank
talking
you.
with you.
Thank you.